new ultimate leader is here.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate it. Super excited for the new opportunity and can't wait to get started. Had some great transition meetings last week and next
Maybe
week.
everyone doesn't know what the new opportunity that you have.
So in February, I'll be taking over as executive director of AASA, the School Superintendents Association. So super honored to support and learn with our colleagues across the country and just engage in some amazing conversations with policymakers as well.
Congratulations. Very exciting.
Thank you.
A new springboard from EmpowerED Superintendent Advisory Board to AA Executive Director.
That's right. But no one else can do it for about 15 years. I hope.
Exactly.
All right. So we have on the agenda just our upcoming conferences that if people might be attending at FETC or AASA or COSIN. So the links are all there along with the dates and when we'll have our advisory panel meeting. And I will start and I'm handing the reins over to Carol and Aaron Spence, I think, is going to be the other co-lead. I think, Anne, is that correct?
Yes, Dave, you're right. That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I'll be joining whenever I can because I just love this group and I love the partnerships we have with and the partnership we have with COSIN. But obviously Valerie's our AASA rep to this group officially, but I don't think she'll mind if I just pop in every now and then. So
we're gonna pull you in, Dave. It's okay.
That's great. All right, should we head over into our corporate partner updates?
Jill, is Carla on?
She's not, so I can go ahead and take this. Of our corporate sponsors, is somebody you just introduce yourself for a few minutes and say hi to the group. Is anybody from ClassLink here?
I think I saw
Go for it, Jerry. Oh, I still can't hear you, even though you unmuted yourself, and I don't know why.
Let's see. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Yes. Jerry Kimball from ClassLink, excited to be with this group again. And we have been working on so many things, but a lot of them to do around equity and technology and the intersection of those two, and so much around security. So that's where our focus has been.
Right. And from Parent Square?
Hey, Jill, I'm here. So, hey everybody. Hey everybody, I'm new to the group. I'm Dr. Chad Stevens. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Parent Square. So for those of you that don't know, Parent Square is a family engagement tool. So we're super excited to have NSPRA on the call today. And we're spending a lot of time thinking about the intersection between really the changing role of really tech leaders, superintendents and their comms office, and how that's changed, and how family engagement is really, we're really leading with family engagement and trying to reach the last bit of families you don't have with the right sort of data. So I'm also a COSIN board member and really excited to be here. And yeah, and we'll be making some big announcements at FETC, so keep your ear to the ground there. New product hitting the ground on Monday, so very excited about that.
Right. ENA in the house.
ENA is in the house. Hi, everyone. Monica Coogan with ENA by Zayo. Thrilled to be here. We've been part of the committee for quite a while. And I see many familiar faces that I've seen before. As always, ENA has been very focused on infrastructure for schools to help them accomplish the needs that they do. We definitely focus on equity of access. And similar to ClassLink and in some collaborations with them, we have also been working very strongly with helping districts around their security needs, cybersecurity, and making sure that they have safe access to many of their digital tools. So happy to be here, and I will turn it over to the next person.
Line wise, recently signed on the dotted line. Do we have anybody here yet? All right, well, they will be in the future, I'm sure. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Keith so we can launch the meat and the exciting part of this meeting.
Sorry, finding that mute button is always the challenge. This is a topic that I think is really important, and hopefully you as superintendents are thinking about it. I'm going to turn over one of our partners is NSPRA, the School Public Relations Officials, and we've collaboratively been working on this project. And I'm going to turn it over to my friend Barbara Hunter, who is my counterpart at NSPRA. She called me back in March and said, you know, what are you hearing, and is your board and leadership concerned about the way that school districts are dealing with social media? We know that school districts use social media to get out their message to parents and families and the community, but do they have a way to make sure that there aren't fake accounts and that they're verified, and also just the problem of managing really inappropriate, unsafe messages. So we brought that to the COSIN board. Barbara brought it to her board, and we decided that there needed to be a lot of work. So I'm going to turn it over to Barbara. Maybe you want to give a welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Barbara Hunter. As Keith mentioned, I'm Executive Director of the National School Public Relations Association. Our members, we have more than 2,500 members in throughout the United States and Canada, and primarily they are the chief communication officers in their districts. They oversee crisis communications. They do websites, social media, publications, you name it, community engagement, you name it. You know them well if you have one in your district. And if you don't have one in your district, you need one. But I was just so excited how this, you know, Keith teed this up beautifully. This concern came to me from one of my board members, actually, about a year ago, who said, as a one-person shop in a small district in Missouri, she was spending an inordinate amount of time chasing down these rogue accounts that were popping up on Facebook, Twitter, you know, Instagram, some of their social media platforms. And you know, some are just annoying, but some really can do significant harm to kids in terms of bullying, posting very inappropriate things, taking videos of kids unknowingly and posting those, assuming false identities such as building principal, and, you know, sharing a lot of misinformation and disinformation and creating a lot of chaos. And if you're a soup, this is something that you're probably very familiar with in terms of the amount of time that your staff is running these accounts down. So as Keith said, I turned to him first because I thought what a perfect partnership between the school PR folks and chief technology officers. And then sure enough, we had 12 more associations join on, including AASA, because they believe that this was such an important topic too. So thrilled that we, Keith and I, COSIN and NSPRA, were able to lead this charge forward, and which we still are, because this is a work in progress, as you're going to hear. So the first step in combating all this is really to have school districts be able to be verified. And then if they can be verified as the official account, then these other rogue accounts would be able to be what you would think easily removed. However, that's not always the case. So we're going to dig into this report a little bit. And then not only do we need a way, school districts need a way to become verified and report these accounts, they also need more support from these platforms to remove these accounts quickly before a lot of damage gets done. So here's our project timeline. As you can see, I kind of already talked about what happened in the spring. And then in last spring, May and June, we decided we really needed to, we had a lot of anecdotal information about this problem, but we really needed some data to support what was actually taking place. So we surveyed COSIN members and NSPRA members about their realities in dealing with this, and we'll dig into the survey results here in a minute. And then once we had that data, really as a foundation, and really were able to frame the issue for our social media companies, and we identified 6 to target, we issued a joint letter of concern to them. And I would also say we spent a great deal of time over the summer reaching out, having one-on-one conversations with each of the social media companies. It's really interesting because sometimes they're really hard to find. Really hard to find who the contact is in these companies who can provide some leverage and support for this kind of an issue. And we told them that we were going to issue a report card on their progress. And I will tell you, and I know Keith is going to get into this in a bit, many of these companies were not even aware that this was a problem. So I think we did a great job in just raising the awareness level on of them. And we know we have a lot of more work to do. And then in September, we took all this great data in research and a lot of wonderful other pieces of information and created a report, issued that, and we're going to dig into that report here shortly. So a few survey findings, and I don't really want to read this PowerPoint slide to you, but the top 3 platforms that most districts use for their official communications are Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And you probably aligns with your practices as well. Some districts are wandering into Instagram. Many of them don't use LinkedIn except for recruiting. And so some of them may use TikTok, but not normally. So what we found is 25% indicated that within the last 2 years, their ed organizations have applied to be verified on social media and have been rejected. Now, raise your hand, put a little hand in the chat or on your screen if you find yourselves, your district, among this 25%. Why are these districts rejected from being verified? Well, the explanation generally is that school district accounts were not notable enough. Okay, so that may relate to their enrollment, their number of students. It may relate to whether they're an influencer. It may relate to just the amount of content. But this is a real problem. For each individual social media platform, generally 1/3 or fewer respondents indicated that they were able to get their organization verified. Susan, Melissa Brand will probably have an answer to your question. Is there a cost for verification? So we'll hold on to that question. And then also respondents indicated that among their districts, these were districts who responded to the survey, more than half have dealt with accounts that harass, intimidate, or bully. More than half have dealt with mock accounts appearing with their district's logo or branding, and almost half, 45%, have dealt with social media platforms not removing reported accounts posts that really harm their students. In fact, what we heard that when districts do report these accounts, these rogue and harmful accounts, they're more often not removed than removed by the platform. So that is not, that's really not what we see, what we want to see out of social media companies. And you know, as well as you've heard Seattle Public Schools just filed a lawsuit that said, you know, this social media companies are really impacting kids' mental health, and indeed, it has huge potential to impact kids' mental health. So this is a really serious issue. Okay, next slide. All right, so we put together a report. It lives on both of our websites, on the NSPRA website as well as the COSIN's website. And this is a great place to really dig into the report and the survey findings. And we also have on there the report card for each platform. So what they're doing or what they're not doing to address this issue. And then we have some general tips on there for easier verification and reporting that you may want to consider using if you're struggling with this issue. So we have some videos on there as well, some news clips from the media coverage that we've received as a result of our survey release, as well as you know, some interviews that we've done. So I invite you to take a look at the full report. And with that, I'm going to toss it to Keith, who's going to talk about the report cards.
Sure. You can see here that basically, in terms of do you verify official school district social media accounts, the answer was no, kind of across the board. But one company, Twitter, indicated last summer that they were willing to work with us, NSPRA and COSIN, to create one. We're hoping to use them as a poster child. We have indicated to our members and NSPRA members that if they give us their Twitter account, we will submit it. We have several 600 or so school district official accounts waiting for Twitter to verify that. But the point that we made to all these social media companies was every single one of education institutions has an NCES number. It isn't that hard to verify. So that's the process that we're hoping to get these social media platforms to do. Next.
And I can just add to that, Keith, because some of you may have folks who are kind of waiting to hear from us. Did they get verified? We had submitted a whole big batch to our Twitter contacts. And then the whole new leadership at Twitter topic happened. And there were a lot of staffing changes at Twitter, as everybody's probably heard about. And while our contact is still at Twitter, it has thrown a wrench in some of their processes. So we have been told repeatedly, yes, we're still planning on doing this for you. School districts will be eligible for the free gray check marks that governments are eligible for. And our batch is with them kind of in the queue to be done. It has not been done yet, but so we're still holding out hope.
And Twitter, right, Melissa, is charging for companies and other entities to.
For Twitter Blue, for the blue check mark for companies, there's a fee, but not for the gray check marks that school districts would be eligible for in governments. Those are free.
Great. We hope that that gets off the ground so that we can press the other companies. The other area, and Melissa, do you want to explain the second and third kind of?
Yeah, sure. So, the other questions we had for the platforms was related to dedicated reporting process for school systems, whether it was an account that was pretending to represent a district. Maybe they were using the district's logo or, using the superintendent's name. And so it was a fraudulent account. And also dedicated reporting processes related to bullying, harassment, targeting of students in particular, although I know some staff experience this as well. And, we were trying to build their awareness and also get a handle on, does anybody have anything specific for school systems? The short answer was no, none of them do. So right now, your schools have to follow the same reporting process as all other consumers, the millions and billions of users on these different platforms. And that is the challenge when you're trying to elevate something that potentially could be a safety issue that's leading to conflicts in the classroom. And our thinking, our hope is if we can get verification first, when we report something, it will help with the elevation of that report because it's coming from a verified account. So these concepts are linked, but yeah, none of them have a dedicated process. So we're continuing to work on that one as well in our advocacy.
And Melissa, YouTube has indicated a willingness to consider it, right?
Yeah, and YouTube is a little bit different because it's a little bit harder on YouTube to misrepresent who you are. And so when we reached out through our surveys and our contacts with membership, we didn't get a lot of feedback on specific fraudulent accounts related to YouTube. It's more so happening on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But YouTube has indicated willingness to kind of talk with us through, what kind of measures could they implement that would help K-12. So we're talking with them as well. So I just wanted to spotlight a little bit, as Barb mentioned earlier, this is an ongoing advocacy effort. Just like, social media platforms, there's a new one every other month, it seems. These issues remain. We've been doing a lot of work with news media, doing news releases, talking to various publications, both within education and outside of education about this topic. Having articles published in some of the our partner associations publications. You might have come across some of them. And we've got more planned in the future. Also, talking about this issue at different conferences and webinars. We were invited to attend Meta's summit on teen safety last month. There were a lot of association leaders at this summit, and it was an opportunity for us to learn a little bit about the measures that Meta, Facebook, and Instagram have taken to support student safety, and hopefully share that information back with our stakeholders. But also just additional opportunities for us to be in front of them and to share the message of the importance of connecting with K-12 schools. Barb and Keith, do you want to add anything else to that? Other appearances we've been making?
No, I think you covered it well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have more efforts planned. As I mentioned earlier, we've got that batch verification process hanging out with Twitter. Our sort of educational programming folks have been working particularly with the Twitter contact and a LinkedIn contact about getting some webinars together so we can provide some more education to COSN and NSPRA members around using those platforms. We're going to be doing a panel discussion at the COSN conference in March on how schools and social media can work together. I'm hoping to have a couple different platforms. I can tell you TikTok has agreed to be there. I imagine it's because TikTok is in the news quite a lot right now. And I've got, a couple other panelists lined up, and I'm hoping to get a couple more platforms. And we're continuing to have those conversations, reaching out to them about, can we set up some more time to talk? And then next summer at NSPRA's conference, we'd like to have a companion panel discussion more focused on engagement and how platforms could be used by schools to increase engagement with our families, with our community, with our staff, and hoping to get some of the social media folks back there with us as well. So I think that was the overview of the project. And next, we were hoping to have an opportunity for everyone to talk a little bit about your experiences with these issues. So in a moment, everybody's going to be sent into a breakout room, and Barb, Keith, and I will each host one of those breakout rooms and just lead you in a discussion of these 3 questions. First, we want to know about the greatest social media challenges that your school system is experiencing right now, and how those challenges are affecting your students, your staff, your classrooms. And then, we'd love to hear a little bit about any strategies that you or your leadership teams are using to try to overcome some of those challenges. And then lastly, we'd like to talk about or hear your thoughts on, after listening to us, how might things like verification and dedicated reporting processes benefit your district? And are there other solutions that you would like to see from your school systems. Thank you for dropping those questions in the chat, Jill. So I
Hey,
think,
Melissa,
yep,
can I just ask a quick question? Where is the NSPRA Summer Institute? I know it's in July, but where is it this year?
we're in St. Louis in July, and we'd love to have you all there.
Great. Maybe put the link into the website or something in the chat. That
Yeah,
might be great for
absolutely.
people. If you haven't attended an NSPRA conference, you really should go there. It's a great opportunity. And I always learn something every time I go. So
I
add it to your list, but not at the expense of COSIN or AASA.
Go to all of them.
All right. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you for the plug.
Great, so the rooms are ready to go. I'll give you a minute warning when we're going to come back, and every group will get a chance to report out. So we'll get to hear the highlights from each of the groups. If you don't see the button to join, just let me know and I can move you. Sometimes I know that the views are different on different computers. So rooms are open.
Hey, Jill, I'm afraid that I can't find my button. I apologize. Thank you.
They wanted to pull me out early.
Great, so everybody's back.
I will apologize to my group. We were mid-share and we got cut off and I didn't give anybody heads up. So welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. So let's start with a report out from the first group with Barb was in.
Yeah, great discussion. Really interesting viewpoints. Thank you to everybody who shared and participated. Interestingly, in terms of the greatest social media challenges for their school systems, a lot of people said they're not necessarily the rogue accounts, but just general misinformation out there that can be put out there by we'll call them rogue parents, right? The one group was called the Other Parents in their social media platform. And they put out a lot of ridiculous information. It takes a lot of time to deal with that. A district says it tries not to respond directly because you can get sucked into a rabbit hole and it's not very productive. There are some groups that are starting petitions using change.org, these other parent groups, some of the anti-school district, anti-public education. But also there was a really interesting reflection that folks feel pretty emboldened to be out and speak at school board meetings, that they don't necessarily need to hide behind rogue accounts. So I thought that was a really interesting insight. Strategies in terms of what they're doing to handle this, tackle these challenges. It's all about being proactive. Some great ideas, superintendent community advisory panel to share information, and with some strategic planning about predicting what is going to be hot, what's the hot issue that might be percolating, and then superintendent proactively shares about that issue that they know that is on people's minds. John Malloy had a great insight and practice. He really is being intentional about who is in the room, and he calls them ambassadors. This is their ambassador group. They meet regularly and share the good, bad, and the ugly. And so I think that that level of transparency is really, really important. Community forums, especially for realtors, was a good strategy. Realtors can spread misinformation around test scores and other school district performance indicators. So it's really important to pull realtors in, make sure that they're getting the right information. And then also just sending messages home regarding issues that are bubbling up on social media. And I shared a strategy that we often recommend is you use your social media accounts for sharing the good information. And when the bad and the ugly happen, then you do direct communication to parents and to caretakers. We didn't really get a chance to dig into the third question about other solutions you'd like to see from social media companies. But the topic of using live streams more is an idea that might be embraced, that might engage more folks. So thank you.
Great.
And did I miss anything from my group you wanted to chime in? Okay, thank you.
Great. Very nice job. Keith, your group?
Yeah, we focused on that kind of second question, and there was just a lot of energy and unanimity that this is the problem of social media is touching every school district and every superintendent. Everything from failed bond issues happening because of campaigns on social media with misinformation. Really, after a little bit of discussion, every superintendent kind of said they could provide examples of problem postings that were happening, and often it was, whether it was in TikTok or Snapchat, that, and the problem is you report things, but they don't get addressed. There was the feeling that this was really a much bigger problem just around misinformation. It isn't, as Barbara pointed out from her group, it isn't just about fake accounts, but people are quite willing to be front and center saying bad things or inappropriate things or fake things in areas that and not represent themselves as the school district. And I think we kind of concluded with a mention that, this effort so far has been asking the social media companies to do better. They aren't yet. And the question is, does there need to be some policy action around it? We have not called for that yet because we asked them to do the right thing. And if they're not going to do the right thing, then we may have to think of other strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank
There are
you.
definitely a lot of legislators out there and lobbyists looking at the policy side of things. So,
So Melissa, last group.
yeah, so we had a good discussion. Some of the topics that were challenges were really about outside groups kind of establishing their own presence and, providing those sources of rumors that then appear to people to be fact later on. Shaming student accounts where, students are put in a position where photographs are taken and embarrassing them. Board members making use of social media and live stream to air their issues with staff, with administrators, as opposed to through the traditional process of, talking as board. And, some of the strategies that we talked about, how districts currently are dealing with this is trying to, on these, inaccurate information, try to redirect people where there's accurate information, giving thought leaders a heads up or, educating thought leaders so that they can go out and kind of share accurate information on these sites, encouraging, pointing people towards kind of a source of truth through the district's channels. And one I thought interesting note was in a smaller community, the superintendent is really reachable to a lot of people. Everybody can talk to that superintendent in a small community. And so they can almost be kind of like a vetting source when things are flying around on social media. And that might not be easier in larger school systems, but I thought that was a nice tactical approach. We did not get to the third question as well. So, we're over by a minute, Jill, but, if anybody has any thoughts to share on the strategies that we've been sharing, we didn't get to it.
Sounds like that was a common thread. This is a big topic. So Anne, can you give us some updates, and I'll put links in the chat.
Okay, thank you all. And thanks for the great discussion. Lots going on and lots to ponder. And thank you all for your leadership in that arena. Very quickly, I want to just thank again, many of you, most of you on this meeting today have at one point or another participated in our Empowered Superintendent EdWeb broadcast. And I just thank you so much for that. We are about to wrap up in May. We will wrap up season 5, and thank you to ClassLink for sponsoring for all 5 seasons, and our partnership with AASA and pulling this all together has been tremendous. But coming up, the next one will be on Monday, February 13th. And some of our superstars are here with us today. The focus is on addressing technology's diversity and equity through district policies, practices, and personnel. Avis Williams will be with us. Diane Dorsch is going to be with us. Christy Wilson will be joining us, and Nick Polyak as well. So we look forward and hope that all of you can join in that conversation. We had one just back in January, and in the January one, our focus was on accessibility, and Susan Enfield was one of the ones who was with us on that conversation, along with Baron Davis and Cynthia Curry from CAST. So thank you all for that. And then I have a favor to ask of you. If you would take a look at the link of the advisory panel of state association endorsers, and that's in the agenda today. If your state superintendent association is not currently an association endorser, I would love for you to contact me and connect me with someone there that we could talk with. There's no cost for that. And for many of them, we provide them with news releases once a month that they publish in their state association newsletters. So we'd love to work with any of them that are not there yet. But thank you all again for your tremendous work. Thank you, Jill.
Mm-hmm. Great. I wanted to give Stephen a chance to say hi from Linewise. He joined us like right after we got done with that part. So go ahead and do a little shout out.
All right. Yeah, no, thank you. And I apologize for the first one. I'm late, so not a good first showing, but really excited to be a part of this initiative. I've known Keith in the COSN group for, this will be my 9th year of being a part of COSN. And he knows that I have a great passion for education. I've worked with schools and school leaders for about 12 years. I've got 3 kids, and that actually led me to this organization, because it's funny that these topics, it's not funny, but it's interesting that the topics we're discussing today, because our passion is all around student safety and community education. And it sounds like, especially with social media, we've been talking about some of these lawsuits going around, and we're all about just educating the community on just, what's out there, how can it benefit, how can you benefit, how can they learn from it. So just, again, really excited to be a part of this. Hopefully we'll get to meet in person in the upcoming events. I know we've got 2 big ones coming up back to back these next couple of weeks. So again, nice to meet everyone for the first time, and look forward to additional meetings.
Thank you very much. So we've got, I'm just going to put a link in the chat of the COSN upcoming events. We've got courses starting, webinars, workshops. I'm going to put in the conference, because that is something you don't want to miss. You want to be there for that. The Driving K-12 Innovation report and summit is coming up in early February. So I would take a look at that. Now I will hand it off to Valerie and Dave.
And I will defer to our amazing Assistant Executive Director.
Thank you, Dave. We are so appreciative of all of you. You are the voices of the field, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate you. NSPRA, you all have been a tremendous partner. You all may know that AASA has a cohort specifically in collaboration with NSPRA, and those voices from the field that you all channel to us and to the National Association for School Public Relations, we rely on you so much for knowing what's really happening in the field. We appreciate all that you do. Look forward to seeing you in San Antonio, some part of the world, some San place. And we're going to have a meeting together when we're there. And we're just really looking forward to seeing all of you all in person. One of our guests will be Richard Culata, the CEO of ISTE and ASCD. And I think he's bringing us a copy of his new book to our meeting. So it's great to see y'all. Let us know if there's anything we can do to reach out and help you.
All right.
Any closing remarks, Keith?
Yeah.
No, it's just great to see everyone, but why don't we turn it back to Carol and Dave? Looking forward to seeing everybody in San Antonio.
Yeah, I'll defer to Carol.
Thank you, Dave. I did see Valerie and Keith earlier in the chat that just to let everyone know, we are going to be celebrating Avis. I think Avis is on the line at the FE
Effie Jones.
The luncheon, thank you.
Jones.
So I know I will be there, and maybe some others, so I will miss seeing everyone at our meeting. But thank you so much. Don't forget, have a happy new year 2023, and don't forget to write some of those chapter headings for your 2023 manuscript. So enjoy your day, everyone, and thank you so much for being here.
Be well. See y'all next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.